welcome back to Naughty Boy Fight Picks. This is our UFC Adelaide, fuck knows what number it is, recap. I say our because I have a friend with me again. It doesn't happen very often. But you may remember him from the infamous UFC, was it Boise?
It was Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, Gaethje versus Vic recap video. This is my friend and, well, he's more my brother.
From the same pair of balls.
Yeah, professional dad, pro fighter, coach. He knows stuff that I don't know. I'd like to welcome back Big Matty Ray. And he's going to be here often.
Yeah, because I fucking live here.
Yeah, this is his house.
Yeah.
I'm merely a visitor at my own podcast now, so it's kind of, it's exciting. We got some plans for the podcast. Matty will be doing the recaps and the picks and predictions with me. So it's going to be really good, especially when doing picks and predictions, I think, to have another opinion.
Probably a better opinion.
Yeah, or definitely a more educated opinion. So, and we've had examples of this over the weekend where we disagreed on some fights. I think that'll make for good discussion and for actually looking at counterpoints and fuck, it might make my gambling game stronger.
Yeah, I want to be responsible for you getting rich.
Yeah. So do I, funnily enough. So yeah, plans we got for the podcast. Obviously, we got Matty on board. I'm being relegated to co-host. I guess we're both co-hosts. I think that's how that works. And going forward, we're gonna, obviously you'll probably see now that this looks better for many reasons.
Thank you.
One being that Matt's very handsome, but we have better equipment. We got some segment ideas that are going to be really fun. And yeah, look to grow this and make something really decent of it. I get a lot of complaints about, what was the other week I started recording and my phone wasn't on flight mode.
Yeah, and you're so popular too.
And it was dinging and shit, and some dude's like, dude, your phone kept dinging, why don't you turn it off? I was like, couldn't be fucked.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah, so shout out to that guy. We're gonna
we should probably also shout out to our sponsors too.
Who are our sponsors?
Oh, we don't have any.
Oh, right.
Oh,
okay.
shucks.
Yeah, so if you're interested, probably no one that listens to this. I can't imagine anyone that listens to me talk about fights owns a business or anything. But if you do and you have a product that isn't absolute garbage, hit us up and we'll fucking promo it for you. Because this is about to be big, you know? It ain't a fucking game.
And if you've recently lost your business, on Todd's advice, then don't get in contact.
Or do. We'll help you revive it. Yeah. We can, we can flog that dead horse till it comes back to life. So enough of the chit chat. What else do we have to do? That was it, eh? We can get into this recap.
And the nitty gritty.
Alright, so I got some notes here because if I start trying to remember what happened in the fights, my brain is going to make a sound that resembles a fucking coffee machine. Yeah, all that. Problem is I got to locate these notes now.
Well, we started off at the beginning from memory because I was actually there, so I was lucky enough to fly up to Adelaide yesterday and the day before, and got home late last night, so I got to experience it. And just from someone who was actually at the venue, the Adelaide Entertainment Centre is a pretty dope place to go and watch the fights because it's real small, it's quite intimate, and like real steep seating. Yeah. So even if you're in the bleachers, you still got a really good perspective. Yeah. But it's also small enough that you can, hear everyone in the arena too. Yeah. Everyone chiming in with their 2 cents. They're like little the white belt coaches from the bleachers. Just get an underhook, bro.
On the telecast, the atmosphere looked wicked.
Yeah, it was fun.
It looked cool.
It was fun, and we've been to a lot of shows in Australia and New Zealand, and the Adelaide crowd was probably one of the more educated ones that we've been to. So there was no stand up, you faggot, stop hugging, and it was pretty cool. It was a cool place to go watch the fights.
Surprising because on trips I've made to Adelaide, doesn't seem like the most sophisticated place.
No, there's still heaps of churches.
Who got the biggest pop? Like, which fighter got the biggest pop coming out?
Definitely Ty.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely Ty.
His
it was his show. For sure.
Your wife's shaking her head behind you.
Yeah.
Who was it, Lani?
Mark Hunt.
Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
All right, let's not get into a domestic here on the podcast. Let's run into this recap. First fight was Georges versus Ismagulov. I'll run through these notes and then we'll get into discussing the fight. First round, Ismagulov tags him early, then some rinse and repeat wrestling, goes back to standing. Georges looks hesitant and slow. Second round, early takedown, control, ground and pound for the whole round. I thought that was a 10-8. In the third round, Georges opened with that flashy stuff. He's doing some spinning shit, which everyone loves. Kind of effective too. Georges does nothing. Back to wrestling, 10-8. That's my notes. I love that. Is that Georges does nothing.
Yeah, man. Like, the thing about Georges is that guy had 10 days notice, and he fought. He fought like 2.5 weeks ago on Hex Fight Series in New Zealand versus my boy Raph Scott, and they went the distance in that fight. And I think he had to cut about 12 kgs. But that Demir guy, I've watched quite a lot of M1 fight series, and I've seen Demir fight a ton.
Yeah.
And he is just so good in every facet of the game.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be the guy that comes out and knocks everyone out and subs everyone, but he'll come in and he'll dominate a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, he's just good. He was good everywhere, and it was 10-8 everywhere. It was 10-8 in the wrestling, it was 10-8 in the striking. And he just neutralized Georges.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, and I guess that's the thing about entering the UFC, right? To get that opportunity, often you're going to get a tough as fuck matchup. And Georges, like, to me, looked like a deer in headlights at times. Like, he had opportunities and he had space.
Yeah.
So often a fight like that is like, so one-sided, and you actually don't get to do nothing.
Yeah.
But there was space and opportunities for Georges to do something, and he was like, yeah.
And that's where, like, I was saying I think I said most of George's fights anyway, all the ones in Melbourne, and he needs space and distance because he's like Delson from Street Fighter.
Right,
he's all arms and legs.
Yeah.
But he was massively outmatched in the speed and the skill department too. Like, to me, I was just able to get inside so easily and get under his big long ass arms.
A silly thing I was thinking after a few of the fights was all those, is it Sydney top team?
Australian top
team guys have their ankle wraps on.
Okay, I didn't notice,
Like Sagat from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Any reason people wear those?
Look,
cool.
I know what. Sometimes you'll wear two if one of your ankles is damaged and you've got strapping underneath it.
Right.
And you need to wear one over the top of strapping.
Right.
I don't know. You tend to, like, when you go around to gyms, there tends to be like a way of doing things.
Right.
And there's always a way of wrapping your hands, and there's individual preference as well. But it might be just something. Yeah, it might be something that they just do. They're also all about aesthetic pleasure too. Like, they're a cool looking team. They've got good looking gear. It might be part of that too. It's important to look good.
Yeah, I think it looks kind of cool, but like they should have colour matched it with their kit.
Probably.
So it's the only critique.
I hadn't noticed.
Moving on. Next up, we had Georges versus Hirota. In the first round, we had. It's like Giagos, eh?
Giagos, Christos Giagos.
Yeah, Mizuko Hirota.
Yeah.
Had Giagos landing big right hand early, drops Hirota, takes him down. Hirota sweeps at the end of the round with the leg lock. Second round, early takedown for Giagos, ground and pound for nearly the entire round. Late rally by Hirota, still a big round for Giagos. Third round, Giagos appearing to tire a bit. This round's a bit more back and forth. Hirota mounts at the end of the round, possibly stealing the round, but still a close round, I thought. Thoughts on this one?
Giagos just went back to his wrestling, which was pretty cool. Like, his striking looked pretty good though, but it's always hard trying to take a Japanese guy out of the fight. Even like, he landed some massive shots real early, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the strength of a competent wrestler is to be able to just fall back on that when everything else isn't working and just get control of the fight back.
Yeah.
Giagos's conditioning was probably like if he gets that sorted and can like push that pace through the whole fight and like keep driving through on the takedowns and stuff, he's gonna give a lot of guys a lot of trouble, I reckon. His it was funny being at the event because his girlfriend was there, and like at times that fight was a little bit stale in terms of the action. And you could hear his girlfriend up in the bleachers, like just screaming. She was like the only one yelling in the entire stadium. And afterwards, when he got on the mic and he was doing his post-match speech, he said, "Yeah, and that was my girlfriend." It was really
good man. Yeah. I think like having gone to some events, some of the like early prelims, people aren't racked up yet. It's like 10 in the morning. Only you guys have had enough Bloody Marys to be rowdy at that time in the morning, and the stadium can be pretty quiet. So it's a good opportunity if you're a funny guy to yell something out and get a big pop. Like who was it? What was the fight? And someone yelled out head movement at New Zealand. It was fucking hilarious. I can't remember why it was so funny, but.
It's just that Kiwi humour, eh?
Yeah, it was a good one. I think it came over on the broadcast too, because I watched it when I went home, and you hear it, and the commentators are like, "Oh shit, that's funny," because the whole place erupted into laughter too. I'm saying nothing about this fight because I don't fucking remember it. I think my nephew was like using me as a jungle gym and screaming at me about treats. Next fight up. An exciting one we're really looking forward to. Kai Kara France out of City Kickboxing, Auckland, New Zealand versus Alex. Is it Alex Garcia?
Ilias
Garcia.
Well,
that's a stupid name. I shouldn't be expected to remember that. Cousin of the Pettis brothers, eh?
Yeah, they were in his
Anthony?
Anthony was in his corner.
Pretty Tony?
Yeah.
So notes for this. First round, so exciting. Kai gets dropped maybe midway through the round, fucking terrifying. And then he won most of the round apart from that shot connecting. He takes Garcia's back and then gets on top, gets some big ground and pound. I found that one difficult to score because apart from the knockdown, it was so dominant for Kai. Second round, Kai looking good on the feet. Hurts Garcia a couple times, then gets Garcia's on his back again and locks up the triangle, I think first, and then changes to an armbar, and both looked really scary. Kai escapes and then lands some big ground and pound, and I thought that was a 10-8 for Kai. Third round, looked like Garcia was fading a bit, man. This was a tough fight. And Kai was getting more and more confident on the feet, slipping and landing big shots, like beautiful in the pocket striking. And then he gets Garcia's back, and then apparently I stopped taking notes because I was probably screaming at the TV, and my nephew was asking me why I was scared, which was pretty cute. Thoughts on this fight?
So good. Was this fight of the night?
It was fight of the night. Yeah, so Kai gets 50K.
Yeah. It was such an awesome matchup and Kai's always been pretty good at like counter wrestling, but Garcia is a super good wrestler. Yeah. And kind of showed it with some the way he was snatching the single leg is like indicative of someone who's just wrestled their entire life. Like a lot of guys when they transition to MMA, they'll set it up off an overhand or like pumping a level change. Really good wrestlers can just seem to like just snatch it from right in front of them and grab it. And early he was able to Kai was able to defend it pretty well, finding the cage, like backing up on the cage, and then counter wrestling. But Garcia did get him down a few times and looked pretty dangerous in some of the positions. I was like Mystic Matt yesterday. I was calling shit out, and I was like, he's gonna go to X guard, he's going to attack that leg, and X guard attack the leg. But where I think Kai did really well to counter that was with heavy ground and pound. And like when guys start fucking around with your legs, playing a real jiu-jitsu heavy game, and they start playing those type of leg locks, they are open to ground and pound. And if you can really kind of scare them away from that, I think it's advantageous in terms of if you're not as strong on the ground. That triangle that he got, that looked like it was going to all be over, especially when he rolled him over and grabbed the leg. I think Kai stepped over the head, which was perfect, and then he transitioned to that triangle armbar. I need to watch it again because I watched it live, but I'm pretty sure Kai waited that out until Garcia tried to stick his other leg over for a more traditional armbar, and that's when he scrambled. So good.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
Kai's game is kind of like, like a really good middleweight game, but in small man division, right? Like the ground and pound, the way he strikes. It doesn't. It's not a style you really see at that weight class, I don't think.
Man, yesterday he also looked jacked as well. So he carries something into that division that a lot of other guys don't have, and that's like legitimate power, man. Yeah. Be interesting to see how big a guy he could knock out. Yeah.
He could knock me out.
Bob Satt for this guy covering.
Fuck, I'd love that in Japan.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Also, obviously, respect to Garcia for short notice.
Yeah, man.
Coming halfway across the world and putting on a performance like that. That fight was incredible. And again, just ever since they started fading the division, another fucking excellent fight at that weight. And you're just like, are they really going to get rid of these guys?
Yeah, crazy.
So stupid,
man. It's crazy. I love watching those fights. I love that division.
Yeah, it's so
I think it's
good.
I reckon what it comes down to, and I was talking about this yesterday with somebody, it's like... it's more of a division for the purists.
Yeah.
Because you tend to get fights that... there are finishes in it, but you tend to get fights that'll go... they'll go the 3 rounds. But what I love about it is the scramble and the application of technique, because they can't be reliant on their power.
Yeah.
And I love watching that.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favourite fights ever is, of the small guys, probably Tim Elliott versus... was it Morales? And it was just like, I can't remember who it was now. It was Tim Elliott versus someone. It was just an entire...
fight with DJ, was it?
No, the one with DJ was great too. Any Tim Elliott fight. And just constant scrambles the whole way through. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's strange to me that apparently the fights from that division don't translate over to the public, because... what is the most exciting thing about fights is kind of like the narrative arcs, right? The story of the fight and back and forth.
Yeah.
And those fights have heaps of that. Like that fight yesterday, for example, Kai gets dropped, but he dominates the round. And then second round nearly gets locked up in a sub. And fuck, it's so exciting. Ridiculous. I was trying to think of like potential next matchups for Kai. And I thought of one that can't happen now, which would have been... fucking great, I reckon. And Jose Shorty Torres versus Kai Kara-France. Can you imagine? Because they would just bomb on each other, man. It'd be so sick. But Shorty Torres being dropped, let go.
I hope they find some. I'm thinking they're going to find someone for Melbourne, but I really don't know who that's going to be.
Yeah,
I don't know who that's going to be.
I guess they could always remake the Mokhtarian fight, right? Since it's going to be in Australia.
They could do that. Yeah, they could do that. Mokhtarian was out with concussion for that fight, so it wasn't a knee or a shoulder or anything. So with a concussion, he'll turn around ready for that. That'd be cool. I'd pay to see that. But man, Kai Kara's got his number. Yeah,
for sure. Congratulations to Kai.
Yeah,
another point on that fight was one of the things I love about Kai is whenever you see him speak, it's like so obvious how much it means to him. He's like, he doesn't do any of that nonchalant kind of being cool shit. He just like speaks from the heart, and like he teared up in his post-fight speech, and you're just like, man, it means so much to this guy. And if you've followed him for a while, you'll see like the work he's put in. Like he got in the Tough Show, and I think it's been about 3 years since he did that, and he's just been grinding to get back to that spot. And fuck, incredible, man. I love that shit. Next fight up, we had Nakamura versus Tahari. This one sucked, didn't it?
Yeah.
The first round, slow round, Nakamura landing the better shots, I thought. and edging it with some decent counter striking. The second round, another close one. Nakamura landing the better shots again, but perhaps not busy enough. At this point, I think I scored all 3 rounds to Nakamura. Third round, better round for Nakamura, playing range well, but still low activity. And I think he got a 30-27 in the end on all judges' cards. And
I thought this one was a split. This was a split decision fight.
Oh, was
fight?
it?
Yeah.
Oh fuck! What am I talking about?
Split decision fight.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, so the first judge had it 30-27, but that's how I had it scored. But
yeah, I think all 3 judges had it differently, which is usually a sign that it was either an incredible fight or it was a fairly mundane fight. Like that tends to be the way it goes, yeah. And I at this point in time, I'd had a couple Bloody Marys. I was a couple Canadian clubs down. It was about 10:30 in the morning, and I went to try and buy some fish and chips.
Oh,
yeah.
This would have been a fight where I would have been real happy if I'd gone out to have my cigarette.
Yeah.
At this point.
Should we just go on to the next fight?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that fight.
Jerks.
Next fight up. Wilson Hayes versus Ben 10 Nguyen. First round. Hayes edging it, I thought, with a few takedowns, pretty uneventful in the striking department. Second round, striking opens up a bit. Nguyen was landing the better shots, I thought, but he was low on activity, and Hayes was pushing the grappling. Gave that round to Hayes a 10-9, so I think I'd scored both to him so far. And then in the third round, Nguyen was making Hayes miss a lot, but still the activity, it was all Hayes, and Nguyen was doing fuck all. Yeah. So I had this scored 30-27. And then when they read the decision, Nguyen pulled a face like he was surprised, and it's like, bro, you did nothing. You didn't do anything.
My wife bet on this fight against, I think she just likes Ben Nguyen, thinks he's cute, probably because he knocked out Jules the Jackal and became an internet sensation. He's a little cutie patootie.
He is.
But yeah, man, I just thought this was a terrible matchup for him. I thought Reyes is just like he's like the perfect antidote for a guy like Nguyen. Yeah. And I reckon that's why you didn't see him striking. Yeah. Because Reyes is so good at constant movement to get inside to engage in the wrestle, and when he gets there, he's just relentless. Like he doesn't just like fire off one takedown attempt. He just chains them together, which is, indicative of a great wrestler. Yeah. And but then also when he's on the feet, he's fucking dangerous. Yeah. Like a lot of his shots are big and round, but he marries it up with head movement. And if you're worried about the guy taking you down, it's it makes guys doubt themselves, I think, and that's why you didn't see striking from Ben Nguyen. Yeah,
interesting. You guys wouldn't have seen it on the broadcast, obviously, but between each round, Nguyen's corner were like, he's fading, he's tiring, and then the next round would start, and Hayes comes out bouncing, moving, and just like he went hard for 3 rounds. It's like
I was saying that to the guy. We had a pretty good little group of people around us, and I was talking to the guy next to me about the fight. I was like, "Watch this, Reyes is going to fade hard in the third, and that's when Nguyen needs to come back." And that's why I was thinking perhaps that's why Nguyen was kind of holding back a little bit because he wanted to trump him in the third. Yeah, because Reyes has done that before. Yeah, and Reyes is massive. Yeah. For that weight division. Yeah. But he didn't fade at all. He just kept coming. Horse meat sausages, not sure if they sell them at Coles. Do you know something else about Reyes' corner that I found interesting is Ross Pearson was in it.
Yeah, what is Ross Pearson telling a fighter today?
I'm not sure. Ross Pearson, maybe Reyes was doing his camp there.
Or because Pearson's based out here, eh?
Yeah.
So perhaps it was a convenient marriage of like bringing in a corner guy who they don't have to fly out.
Could be, yeah.
You can be in the background if you want, Lani. Lani's just crawling across the floor to avoid being in the camera. She looks better than us. So, there you go. Yeah, so
there you go.
That was that, eh?
That was that.
All right.
Buzzy B.
Let's move on to the next one. Yushin Akami versus Kanechko. My notes for the first round is missed most of this round because my laptop shut down. And
I can tell you what happened this fight. I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
And I thought when I was talking about the card before it happened, I said there's not going to be a finish through the entire prelims. And if there is one, it would be this fight.
Right.
But
Yushin Okami is, I don't know, from outer space or something.
He's from another planet.
Yeah.
Man, it was really frustrating because he just didn't do anything. Like, he'd get in on a takedown, but he wouldn't drive through it. Yeah. So he got in there so many times or snatched one up, but he just wouldn't drive through. It was really frustrating.
Yeah.
In the end, it was a pretty bit of a yawn of a fight. This fight got booed a little bit in the stadium. It was just a bit.
He looked heaps bigger than Kaneshko, and
he's massive, dude.
Yeah, so it was surprising not to see him have some sort of grappling advantage. Kaneshko, I enjoy him, but this wasn't the greatest fight. But he's a fun striker to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know. In that third round, he started to open up his kicking game because I think he got confident that Okami wasn't going to take him down, and he started throwing some nice kicks. But yeah.
So.
Yeah, whatever. On to the next fight, and by this point there'd been 6 fucking decisions.
Mystic Matt.
Big Jimmy Crute.
Yeah, the man, the
versus
brute.
Fucking Scottish, is it Paul Craig?
Yeah.
Alright, so first round, early takedown by Craig. Crute reverses, gets on top, ends up on top again, nearly gets the head and arm choke. I scored that round for Crute. Second round, bit of back and forth. Craig on top a lot, but Crute, when he got to a strong position, was actually doing stuff. Craig was not doing anything with the positions he secured. In the third round, Crute gets to mount early, locks the head and arm again for a couple of minutes, I think. And it looked real tight. Like, on the broadcast, you could see Craig's head was going red like William Wallace. Post-decapitation or whatever they did to him. And yeah, he couldn't finish the head and arm. Craig toughed it out, but then he gets the Kimura, which he'd gone for previously as well. Gets the Kimura right at the end of the round. And thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, well, I've sparred with Jimmy Crute many times and have held pads for him, which is terrifying in itself.
Yeah.
And what you saw in his showing was probably just a glimpse of what Jimmy Crute is. And he said it in his post-fight, he was full of nerves.
Right.
He's
22, right?
He's 22, man. What Jimmy Crute, when he's on point, is doing is bouncing around on his toes, coming in with angles, beautiful striking. You saw a bit of it in the Contender Series.
Yeah.
What you got was a Jimmy Crute full of nerves and adrenaline, who was flat-footed in front of Craig.
Yeah.
And was loading on his shots. I think he fell over as well.
He did.
And that's not Jimmy Crute.
Right.
You saw Jimmy Crute, what he's capable of on the ground. Like, he's a beast, man. When you've got that guy on top of you, it's just bad news.
Yeah.
And his head and arm choke, he's kind of notorious for it on the circuit.
Right.
He's finished a lot of people with that. And he likes to get it from mount and jump to half guard, side control.
Yeah.
And he did that. One of the reasons he couldn't finish is because the cage was in the way. So he wasn't able to circle. And you saw him trying to move Craig around. Now, there's probably, he's got Stewie from Stewie's House at BJJ from Bendigo, is an awesome coach under Marchido, I think. And he might have even told him to let that one go rather than burn his arms out.
Yeah.
It doesn't require heaps of arm strength, but it does. It requires far less of Paul Craig if he's got that kind of answering the phone position locked in. But man, I love Jimmy Crute. There was Paul Craig from the bottom was locking down half guard.
Yeah.
But Jimmy passed whenever he wanted. Like, he dominated him on the ground, man.
Yeah,
and he has got his next fight when he comes out. You're going to see a completely different Jimmy Crute.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the Kimura, right, is like a strongman submission, and Craig looks like a big physical dude, man.
So the Kimura from half guard is fucking hard to get. And I think he had it on the far side the first time, and that wasn't gonna wasn't going to happen, but I think it wasn't Jimmy's plan to finish it there. I think he was going to try and go to a different position. Yeah. Well, he was on top. I think he was probably going to try and pass. Yeah. The second time he got on the near side, and what he did, and it's technical, like it's almost near him. It's not impossible, but you have to really muscle it from that position. But what he did is he used the ground, and he got Paul Craig's arm planted on the ground, and then which isolated his shoulder, and then put weight on his shoulder. Yeah. Like that's some clever shit. And and with big guys as well, like heavyweight and heavyweight, there's far less flexibility in the shoulder. Yeah, and that would have hurt. The man,
Jimmy Crute. Looking forward to him coming back. And yeah, I really enjoyed that win because Craig was getting up in his face at the weigh-ins and whatnot, and so it's always nice to see someone take an L when they're doing that. If you're rooting for the other guy. My notes for the next fight are really short. I got Mokhtario versus Super Sadiq Yusuf. The notes just go 1 smoked, and then it says his brother, which I think is a reference to Sadiq Yusuf's brother. Any thoughts on this?
When we sat down at the event and we pulled it, they've programs on each chair. Right. They had a picture of Ashkan next to Suman's name, which wasn't a great start.
Oh, shit.
And I think they announced him wrong as well. Yeah. That was probably the only blight on the show. Sadiq's punches, like when you're actually in the stadium, sound like firecrackers going off, man.
He said that. Did he say that in his post-fight interview too? I don't know if you guys could hear.
I could hear.
Yeah. He said something about that.
And it was crazy that Suman wore quite a few of those and stayed on his feet. That was insane, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it looked like on the broadcast, but Suman was rocked, man, and he complained of an early stoppage, but I think that was a good stoppage because it was going. That wasn't going much longer. Like he was playing a high guard, but he was wearing some massive shots, and I think Greg Clearman had probably already made the decision that he was about to stop the fight anyway, because you can be out on your feet and have the cage to your back. I don't think he was there yet, but it wasn't going any other way in that next 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, the only respite he had in that fight was where he had Sadiq pinned against the cage for a bit, but then Sadiq reversed him.
Yeah.
And so didn't look like those positions were gonna go his way. And then on the feet at striking distance, it looked nightmarish. Like Sadiq is so explosive, powerful, athletic, and fucking paired with that aggression.
Yeah.
It's thinking of Sadiq and the note about his brother. It was fucking cool to see him get a win, and he got a performance bonus as well. So that's really fucking nice to see for a dude who just recently been through something so tragic. Going forward, because that aggression, right? He's gonna meet someone that can match that, or
respect to Suman, because Suman did plant his feet and stood in the pocket and traded back. I was like, damn, good on him, bro. That was mad, but fuck, that's dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was expecting, back up, try get space, but he tried.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Something that you probably didn't see after the fight was, and you saw it live, was Sadiq invited Israel Adesanya up to the cage because he was cage side, and they he congratulated him as another Nigerian guy.
Yeah.
And the ATT camp had a disagreement with him in the crowd. I wasn't close enough to hear it, but it was interesting, and it was certainly tense. And then I noticed after ATT left the cage, went back to Outback, I noticed Izzy went back as well. So not sure what happened there, but one thing that I appreciate about Suman and Ashkan, his brother, that they even despite that, it's always they always show mad respect straight after that. So he did acknowledge, and he was encouraging the crowd to congratulate Sadiq. Right. And I've seen the same with Ashkan before, so respect to those dudes for that.
Yeah, real cool. There's obvious camaraderie between Sadiq and Kamaru and Israel. these Nigerian fighters, and then like getting on the mic and speaking in their native tongue, and really enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. Anthony Rocco Martin versus Jake Matthews. Fucking those sideburns, man. They gotta go. Like, this guy keeps winning me money, but I can't bet on you if you're gonna have those fucking horrible sideburns. Notes here. Back and forth first round. Martin landing some like really heavy leg kicks. I think he hurt Jake's leg early on. Jake was landing that overhand early, and fuck, he looks powerful, man, and looks better each time out. Ends up on the ground, and I think I scored that round for Matthews. Yeah. Second round, Matthews did little this round, so he looked like he might have been affected by those leg kicks, perhaps. Martin started applying more pressure, just landing that nice jab and the leg kick again. Third round, Martin just landing on the feet, and then Jake's on the ground and turtle, I think, and he just like spun around, got his back real quick, and got the choke in, just real slick, and he saw that and he pounced, right? That's what it looked like. He saw an opportunity, he pounced.
He finished with an anaconda choke, but he didn't do it in kind of the traditional sense. He kind of got it from a funny angle. And
his anaconda don't want none unless it's from a funny angle, eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
And once he trapped the leg, the fucking ref, I don't know if he's ever seen or practiced jiu-jitsu before, but in that anaconda choke, I don't know where he was expecting to see a tapping hand, because it's trapped underneath him,
yeah.
And he can't verbally tap because and the ref was just standing there twiddling his thumbs while he was out for like 8 seconds, man. It was fucking terrible stoppage. But I've sparred with Jake Matthews a lot as well, and he's given me multiple concussions because he does hit fucking hard.
Yeah.
But he also explodes forward. So when you watch him attack, he comes forward and explodes with his punches, and he bounces around. So he'll explode, he'll get his combo off, and he'll angle off.
Right.
Or he'll pump levels, he'll strike, and then he'll shoot. It's a really nice style for MMA.
Yeah.
Now, I was saying to people around us again, I was just being like a bit of a crowd side commentator, that his leg was hurt in the first round, because he definitely won the first round, but his movement was laboured coming forward, and I was saying his legs hurt. I think I even texted it to you.
Yeah.
And but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the other Cam knew it until the second round when he landed the second one, and Jake Matthews had to get carried out of the cage and out the back. Like, he couldn't walk on his leg. It was toast, man. Those calf kicks that hurt so bad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Jake and his progression, I was really expecting to be the stand up to be pretty one-sided in favor of Tony Martin, and coming out fresh, Jake was landing the better shots apart from those leg kicks, but like with the hands he had Martin, like, he wasn't really like going for his game because he was wary of the power and the accuracy, because Matthews kept landing like those big overhands. And I wasn't expecting it to look like that, but yeah, I think Jake Matthews keeps improving. So there's positives for him to take out of this, because Martin's a good fucking striker, man, and he was hanging with him. And
I think I actually had Jake. I actually favoured Jake in this fight, because I thought he would, like, his striking is really good, and I thought that his brand of striking was going to be able to marry up really well for this fight. Yeah. And I thought that if he hit a couple of takedowns as well, that's when he's really good, is when you don't know if he's going to shoot on you or bomb on you when he explodes forward. But I think calf kicks for him was probably the perfect recipe. Yeah.
And did the trick in the end. So next fight, my notes stop here, but I remember these fights, fortunately or unfortunately. Mark Hunt versus Justin Willis. First round, Hunt looked good, landing the inside leg kick and the body kick, repeatedly. And fuck, that body kick looks heavy when it's from...
Should hear it.
Yeah.
Should hear the thing.
But man, Willis was taking it well. Like, he either wasn't hurting him or he has a great poker face. He does have a soft middle. So I was like being absorbed by cheeseburgers. And then the second round, so Mark Hunt like cut his shin in the first round. There's fucking blood everywhere.
He's done that before.
Yeah,
I think it's an old. It might be an old wound.
Yeah, it definitely has happened on a few occasions, I think. And I don't know, like Hunt just didn't. He looked like he had his "get your head in the game, Mark." I would have yelled if I was there live. No, I wouldn't, because he's my dad. But yeah, he looked really out of it, and it looked like something may have been bothering him on that leg, but it wouldn't be a cut, right? Because a cut on your leg ain't gonna fuck up your.
Well, I think there's a couple things to take from that fight. Is the first, they were big body kicks, but you had a southpaw versus orthodox matchup, and Willis was circling constantly, constantly. Yeah. He bent the time-space continuum. He went anti-clockwise so much. And that dissipates the force that Mark could generate on those kicks.
Yeah.
I think there's something real evident about the heavyweight division, and you really see it when you see, a guy who's like an absolute veteran and legend of fight sport, but also of heavyweight fights versus the more new school guys.
Yeah.
And that there was a time and a place in the heavyweight division where you could stand and you would stand and trade, and you would stand kind of face to face. And now it's more about mobility and being able to move and having hip dexterity. And while Willis was he's big and he's fat, he's fucking mobile. Did you see that first kick he threw? And he threw a high kick straight off the bat, and he ran from Mark. Yeah. But as you should, like if you're looking at the. If you're looking at the matchup, stand in the
pocket with Mark Hunt, no,
it's stupid. Yeah. And Mark Hunt is renowned for that big left hook, and while he was circling towards it, he'd jab, he'd step back, and he'd circle. He's so conscious of it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he didn't make an exciting fight, but it was probably about the feather in the cap for him, I'd say. Yeah, it's just disappointing.
Yeah. As we're all huge Mark Hunt fans here, and it feels like more often than not lately we're leaving his fights with that sinking feeling of like
he's going to end up in Japan at a press conference real soon. Yeah he's going to be there.
So that was his last UFC fight on his contract, and I was like, that was one of my big bum outs about not attending this, as I was like, this might be the last opportunity to see Mark fight live, but not sad I missed that one.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, on to the next one. Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Tyson Pedro.
Oh, who'd you have for this fight?
I have motherfucking Tyson Pedro, because he should have won this fight, but I just put it down to veteran experience, really, And Shogun maybe not as being quite as fragile as I thought. He looked a little fragile, especially for a moment there in the first round. But I think, when he got wobbled at first, might not have seen it live, but I think that was off a head clash. But regardless, like, Pedro going in for the kill and has him hurt against the cage, and he shoots a takedown.
That's what he did on OSP, right?
I know, I was fucking dying. I was like, bro, Mauricio is like 50 years old in normal human years because of the fucking wars he's been in. You got him hurt against a cage. Don't try and grapple this cunt.
Do you dab away all your tears?
I was like, I was real upset. And then, but yeah, and another thing that surprised me was I wasn't expecting Shogun to look as dangerous as he did, because he hasn't really looked like that in recent fights, and it's still there, I guess. I didn't think it was there still.
And he's like 4 out of the last 5, I'm pretty sure, Rua.
Yeah, but like if you look at who they're against, they're not. It's not as awesome as it sounds.
I'm a massive Shogun Rua fan. Rua, sorry, and I picked this fight, and I actually thought Rua would get him out in the first round. I just felt, and I was saying to a few people and my wife, I was like, Pedro's just a bit green for the experience and the ring craftiness of Rua. Like, Rua is tricky, man, and he knows he doesn't just throw punches for the sake of throwing punches. He sets you up with feints and then throws his punch. And I called it. I was like, it's going to be the overhand right. And what you saw from Pedro is he's the perfect build for light heavyweight. Like, he's long and he's powerful and he's got great technique. I love it how he kicks and then jabs straight after it. That's quite unorthodox. Yeah. He's awesome and his jiu-jitsu is awesome. But Rua just kind of outsmarted him and toughed it out. Like, when he got hurt, this is what I love about Rua and some of those more old school guys. They get hurt, and rather than trying to clinch or, although he did get the tie clinch and held it, rather than clinch and shoot the takedown, they'll just stand and they tuck their chin and they just start winging punches to scare the other guy. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's so dope.
And I called it about 10 seconds before it happened. I said to this fat drunk cunt next to us, so I was like, he's trying to time that jab and get the overhand right while Pedro steps back. Next minute.
And so we're discussing this fight as it was occurring, and just before it begins, Matt's like, oh, who are the first round knockout? And I was like, nah, I think other way around. Pedro finishes him in the first round with knees or elbows in the clinch, which he nearly fucking did. The prick.
He's going to be massive. Yeah. Like, like I said, he's green. Like, I don't think this hurts him at all.
Nah.
Like, maybe it will slow his progression, but I don't see it's a bad thing losing to a guy like Rua this early in your career, man. But also having him rocked as well. He's gonna come back. He's gonna be super strong in that division.
Yeah. Well, I think his last couple fights where he's nearly had the fight finished and then has not finished the fight. I think a guy, and you see Tyson talk, right? He's a really fucking smart guy. I imagine he's learning from these experiences. He's getting experience against guys like Shogun. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's still young, and he's like, his frame, like you're saying, is amazing for the division. So
good walkouts too.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
So funny.
In the whole wide world.
So funny how him and Ty do that shit. Speaking of Ty, next fight up, Tai Tuivasa versus Junior Dos Santos, the creative player of the UFC. No notes again, but largely this fight was looking how I was expecting, with Ty backing JDS up into the cage, which he has a habit of doing, and then landing some really good shots against the cage. Ty is so fucking wild, and I think I've seen him do it in other fights where he falls like actually over a shot that he throws, and in the end, like, and he's a scrapper, right? So that first time he got dropped, it's like they're looking at each other and they're like, let's fucking wing shots, and Ty's like, hell yeah, let's wing shots, and then he eats one.
I love this guy, man. But yeah, like you said, he because he's got that tendency to lunge forward. When he lands a strike, and a big strike, sometimes he's removed any opportunity to follow up on that because he's closed in too much space. Yeah. And often he would land something big and round and then end up in Junior Dos Santos' clinch. And that might have been kind of the plan, because Junior Dos Santos is just got an incredible uppercut of his rear hand. And it's just nasty. Probably the best boxing in the heavyweight division. I think that's probably safe to say.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the plan, just to get that one strike off. But yeah, I'd like to see him now start like feinting a little bit, throw the big overhand, provide a bit more room to follow up.
Yeah.
But man, he's going to be so much fun to watch for like the next 10 years.
Yeah. Well, how old is he?
He's young as well.
He's young as shit. He's like 23, 24.
Yeah.
At heavyweight, you shouldn't even be there yet.
Yeah, and he's fighting the former world champion.
Yeah.
And a guy who has been around forever, but is still... There's an argument to say his physical prime isn't that too far gone.
He looks pretty fucking good.
He's ginormous and he's fast.
Yeah.
And when you see him in person, like... I had never seen him in person, and I saw him walking out. I was like, "Fuck this guy!" I think you said it this morning. He looks like a video game character.
Yeah.
He's fucking ginormous, man.
Yeah. And how fun is like when Junior Dos Santos, with like just expressions of just like pure and utter happiness and joy, speaking about knocking people out. And he just looks so happy and friendly in the face, and he's just saying, "Oh, I love knocking this guy out."
Hey bro, like for like that crowd that was Ty's show, right?
Yeah.
And the whole crowd were behind him. Half of Western Sydney were in the front. You probably couldn't see him. But like this speaks to this is testament to JDS's like creed within the UFC and how well he's revered. Like it was like he was a hometown guy too. Like on the way out, he was getting cheered and people were cheering for him. Like it was cool, and there was mad respect between the two as well. Like he picked Ty up at the end.
I saw that.
I left with a good feeling. Like I wanted Ty to win, and he was like the sixth leg of my multi that I had on, and didn't come home, but it was still dope.
Yeah, I think much like the route Tyson Pedro's taking, Ty at a young age is getting experience against. So his last fight win over Arlovsky. This fight back and forth where he looked like he could have had it done at points against JDS. He's getting valuable experience.
Yeah,
young as fuck. He'll be back. And calling out Justin Willis because he doesn't like how he disrespected his dad, Mark Hunt. So I hope they make that fight. Like, and at this point, at that age, in heavyweight, they can match Ty up with whoever.
Hey, bro, Ty's got Willis's number.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's got his number, man.
Yeah.
I hope they make that fight. I hope they make it in Melbourne. That'll be exceptional.
Well, that's the thing I like about Ty, too, is he won't get into these staring matches at heavyweight. He'll fucking rush you if you're, like, trying to have that sort of fight.
Yep.
He won't. And he was cage cutting real well against JDS as well, man. He wasn't like, because you watch him and it's kind of like, you could, if you are not watching closely, you could be forgiven for thinking that he's just chasing after the guy, but no, he cuts real well. And
bro, think about this. Like, what did Willis win that fight with? He won it with a jab. A flicky jab. Was fucking quick.
Yeah.
JDS has the best jab possibly in the UFC.
Yeah,
like, I reckon there's a real argument for that.
Yeah,
100% in the heavyweight division. And he withstood that and had an answer for it.
Yeah.
Like, Willis is going to have to come up with some tricks, man.
Yeah.
But I reckon Ty will smash him. Fingers crossed that fight happens.
Get us that one for Melbourne too. Probably quick turnaround for those big fellas, but whatever. And so that's that. The bonuses were
one would surely be Sadiq.
Yeah, Sadiq got a performance bonus. Cool for him. Shogun got a performance bonus, and now has a record for bonuses in light heavyweight.
Bang.
And of course Kai Kara France and Elias Garcia well deservedly getting the Fight of the Night award. I was going to talk about my betting just quickly. So I was fucking smashing it up until about the Tyson Pedro fight, and I was up like 15 to 20 units, and I cracked my first ever like all-time 100 units profit, which is like a definite milestone, and I'd got up to like number 35 on the Bet MMA leaderboard. So I was just sort of fucking happy, and I was like, oh, well, either Mark's gonna come in or Ty's gonna come in, and it's gonna be a solid night. But all my last bets fucking fell through. But I got some good ones. What do we got here? Obviously Tony Martin, I cashed on him. I had some parlays, Crute and Martin cash, which was really good because they were both paying decent money. Usman, Munoz and Konechko, Yusuf and Kara France, and then some other ones bombed. But so overall, I had a like 2.5 unit profit. From the tough finale, I had a 1.29 profit. So profitable, and I'm on a 3-event win streak now, which feels good. Although I want to get those numbers up and get more.
Like Shogun, hooray!
Yeah, get more fucking money. That does us for the recap. We'll be back. Well, looking at this next card, this UFC 231, which is really cool because Matt's fucking booked himself some work just right while the event's on. The fucking genius. But we might, we're still deciding, hey, Lani's not real keen to wait for you.
Yeah, fuck.
But I kindly offered to just wait till Matt got home to watch the fights, but Lani's not so sure, so I'm not sure how we're going to do that. But there's some fucking great fights on this card. One that could potentially go under the radars. I'm really looking forward to seeing Alexander Rakic out for his third UFC performance. He's looked really exciting. And obviously fucking Holloway Ortega, we've waited for this for a long time now.
The fight of the sleeper fight of the night on that card is Chad LaPriest versus Lima. But we can talk about that when we cap it. I reckon that has got real fight of the night potential.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about, have a yarn about that on Wednesday.
Could be a good one. I'd love to see LaPriest get knocked out again.
Should we do a hardcore handshake?
Yeah. So we'll be back. We're going to shoot for Wednesdays and get things regular. So we'll do the week, the
like
week.
Your bells, eh?
Oh yeah, we'll do the recaps after events as soon as we can, and then do picks and predictions on Wednesdays. So that's Wednesday Australian time. So for Americans and Ecuadorians, that I think might fall on a Tuesday or Wednesday for you guys. But you'll get in rhythm with us. We've hopefully got some segments sus for this week's one. And it's going to be good. So, like and subscribe. There's some contacts in the information thing for the video. So get at us, because we'll do some Q&A on the next video as well. So ask us some questions, not too personal, because we don't want to divulge all that. But thanks so much for joining us. Thank you to Big Matty Ray. We're now co-hosts. It's good to be here. We'll see you on Wednesday with picks and predictions. Yeah.